Thursday morning meeting to order. Please start recording. Christina, it is 8:30 a.m. and with that, I will ask for approval of the agenda. I guess we got to do a roll call, don't we?
Yeah, we do. Yeah.
All right, thanks.
And just as a reminder, when I call your name, please tell me where you're calling from also. Tamara DePonio.
I'm calling from Forefront Credit Union.
Is that Filer Township?
I'm sorry, what?
Are you in Filer Township? Is that correct?
Oh, yes.
Okay. Yeah, I'm sorry. Maybe we're here last time. It's your municipality and county, so.
Oh,
Okay. Kyle Mosher.
Present, City of Manistee, Manistee County.
Thad Taylor.
Here, City of Manistee, Manistee County.
James Boudry.
Here, City of Manistee, Manistee County.
Bruce Allen.
Here, City of Manistee, Manistee County.
Ken Urban.
Present, City of Manistee, Manistee County.
Karen Goodman.
Here, City of Manistee, Manistee County.
Annie Jacobson.
Here, City of Manistee, Manistee County.
Thank you, Kelly. Item 2, approval of the agenda.
So moved.
Thank you, Thad. Is there a second?
I'll give it
I'll
a second.
support that.
I think it was James. You got it. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Kyle Mosher.
Yes.
Thad Taylor.
Yes.
Ken Urban.
Yes,
Karen Goodman.
Yes,
Annie Jacobson.
Yes,
Bruce Allen.
Yes,
James Boudry.
Yes.
Tamara DePonio.
yes.
Motion passed.
Great. Thank you, Kelly. Item 4, approval of minutes from the April 14, 2021 regular meeting. Any discussion, question on the minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve them.
Thank you,
Karen Goodman.
Karen.
I'll support.
Thank you, James. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Thad Taylor.
Yes.
James Boudry.
Yes.
Annie Jacobson.
yes,
Tamara DePonio.
Yes,
Bruce Allen.
yes,
Kyle Mosher.
Yes.
Karen Goodman.
Yes,
Ken Urban.
yes,
Okay, motion passed.
Great, thank you. Moving right along to item 5, approval of minutes from the May 4, 2021 work session.
So moved.
Thank you, Thad.
support,
Who was that?
Ken Urban.
Oh, thanks, Ken. Sorry, I didn't see it. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please, again.
Thad Taylor.
Yes.
James Boudry.
Yes.
Annie Jacobson.
yes,
Tamara DePonio.
yes.
Bruce Allen.
yes,
Kyle Mosher.
Yes.
Karen Goodman.
yes,
Ken Urban.
Yes,
Motion passed.
Thanks again. Item 6, approval of financials from April 2021. Anything to add here, Christina?
No, I think everything looks pretty well, working on that budget amendment for those dumpster corrals. Everything else looks in line, Kyle. We do have 2 bills on the last page. What I was hoping we could do moving forward, there's unpaid bills. We'll include that sheet for the expenses each month.
Just approval requests?
Yes.
Or check requests, okay.
Yeah, there's the last page of the financials with just the unpaid bills. And so the accountants will print out the sheet. So we just have the expenses for Richards and McDougal. That did go over our current budget because of the cleanup
Mhm.
when they took over. And then just the standard executive director fee this month.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions or comments in regards to the financials? Okay, I would entertain a motion for approval.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Bruce.
Ken Urban supports.
Thank you, Ken. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Al Mosher,
Yes.
Ken Urban,
Yes.
Karen Goodman,
I think you're muted, Karen.
Yes.
There you go.
Annie Jacobson,
Yes.
Tamara DePonio,
Yes.
Bruce Allen,
Yes.
Thad Taylor,
Yes.
James Boudry.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Great. All right. Here's the good stuff. Committee reports. Design, Ken.
Design committee met on Monday. We got project updates on paver and sidewalk repairs, plus planter painting, which is a standing item on the agenda. DPW director is going to go out and get cost estimates, quotes for updating the pavers along multiple blocks. The recommendation from the committee is that once we get those back, we pick and choose which of the estimates we're going to accept, which of the quotes we're going to accept, and decide which sections of River Street we're going to do and adjacent streets we're going to do paver and sidewalk updates on. The committee also asked DPW to get estimates on some crosswalk signage for traffic calming issues. We have, according to DPW director, some quotes in, but they're still waiting for some more. They're going to update us on that later. Seasonal decorations, the banners and the like. There was some discussion about holding off on placing banners until we find out what's going on with social districts, because we might want to use the banners to demarcate the edges of the social district. So the committee's recommending that we put a brief pause in there to find out what's going on with social district. We're still working on getting estimates on the DDA lighting area for replacements and conversions to LEDs. Under old business, the committee reviewed a couple facade grant requests, one from Fricano's Manistee Riverwalk and one from the Vogue Theater. The total amount between the two facade grant requests was north of $30,000. The Vogue was about 2,500. Fricano's was 50% of their project would be over 30,000. The recommendation from the committee was that we approve Fricano's, given that the budget's going to turn on July 1st. There would be additional funding available for the Vogue. The Vogue's project is replacing some of the damaged tile at the front entrance, which is no longer holding up, with concrete, textured concrete to match the bricks on the building, because they're unable to find a vendor who can do the tile mosaic. Fricano's is an extensive rework of the facade of the building. And as I said, the committee is recommending that the board approve the Fricano's facade grant request. We also got an update on outdoor dining platforms from Christina, and I see that's later in the agenda. Other questions for the design committee?
Yeah, I just have a quick question. I know there's been a lot of discussion on the pavers. Is that general maintenance or is that enhanced maintenance that the DDA is to pay for?
I don't know that answer.
Historically. I don't know why that-
Historically, it's been the DDA that's paid for and maintained those.
Well, I would just add that there's not a lot of history. It's only that we did some last year.
History is history.
Thanks, Ken.
I don't know am I working here?
We can hear you. You're a little bit faint.
Historically, and when we were doing the TIF plan and everything, that was supposed to be a regular maintenance. I have had conversations that have come back that it's enhanced, but it was always supposed to be the regular maintenance of those projects. This has been a place of disagreement for a while, at least when I was in the TIF group.
And
Thanks, Kim.
Kyle, just so you know, there's 3 budgets. So there's the enhanced city service agreement, and then pavers and planters and things like that have their own budget with a design committee, just to remind you.
Thank you.
Are you getting questions on that, Stacy? Obviously.
Yeah, there's been a couple questions, so that's why I just wanted to clarify, because I do know we have that service agreement, but just kind of figuring out, if that's enhanced or general maintenance for the city.
Yeah, that was, like I said, when we set this all up, it was all supposed to be the general, and that's part of the whole project down there was, it needed ongoing general maintenance. Some of it has been left to a point where it's like disastrous. So yes, it becomes enhanced because it hasn't been generally maintained.
So if it's one or the other, if it's general or enhanced, how does that change? How would that potentially change things? Would be my question.
The cost, probably, yeah.
Cost to us or cost to the city?
Cost to us. No, to us.
Okay. If it's enhanced.
Right.
Okay.
These are truly a lot of discussions that happened and questions that happened. And really, we never got any type of real set, defined kind of agreement. We've just always had probably some disagreement on how things were done.
Thad, can you provide any clarity on this at all from your perspective, or?
None whatsoever. I haven't been part of the conversation.
Okay, thanks. I guess the only thing I can provide is it seems like they have, and I'll use the word failing, but for a long time, shortly after they were installed, from my recollection. So,
yeah.
And when I say failing, I mean sinking.
Yeah, no, they were a beautiful idea, a nightmare to keep.
Yeah, I think it was an installation problem
Oh,
initially.
yeah. And I think that the DPW has, they have the right idea. Let's just cement and stamp, these areas that are in poor condition. But I'm not really sure what the plan has ever been. I ask about what's your plan? Where are the sections that are going to be taking care of all that stuff? And I don't know if that exists.
Well, basically all of downtown pavers need to be reset, and there was a block that was done last year, and it looks quite nice, and I think done correctly will last a long time. So the plan is to eventually do everything, but the way that the DDA's budget looks, we're looking at a block maybe to a year, because it really guts a significant portion of our budget, maintenance budget, which is not included in the $60,000 a year. So I think that's kind of what we're talking about. Anybody else have any questions or comments in regards to this?
I guess my only comment would be the more we talk about it, this sounds like the city should be paying for it and not the DDA. Am I wrong in that?
I don't think it's a matter of right and wrong. It kind of comes down to what's considered enhanced or general maintenance.
And Jim, you are asking the same exact question that I asked, and the whole establishment that, that whole program, there was, a couple $100,000 and there was supposed to be maintenance monies and all this different stuff. And I just think that it was a unclear process. And there's really, and that I think you've been in these conversations, you know, it's like it's never really clear about when we do these projects, do they become the responsibility of the city? And that has been a question that's been asked over and over and over again, and you get all kinds of answers. You know, so it's never ever clear. That I think you've heard this question a million times.
Oh, yeah. You know, it's the same question that you get on the river walk and the railings and different things like that. And there's no clarity. You're correct.
How do we get to the point where we have some clarity? So on a yearly basis, we kind of know what each other's roles are and responsibilities, because it comes up in different aspects a lot.
I think that some of that started with our agreement, putting it actually in writing, what is the expectation, the outlines. So I think that being able to expand upon that as a board, to be able to and it's going to take some work with the city, you know, the council and stuff, to kind of go back and say, here are the improvements, here's what we'll put towards your maintenance. And then it's like the last years and years and years ago where you built something. I think it was the bathhouse, or not bathhouse, the city marina building with bathrooms, and then here's some money put aside, and here's a transition into the city responsibility. And I don't think that happened. I think that, and I think that was a good idea. It's like, here, we'll give you like 5 years worth of maintenance support, and then it's now yours. And so that's how we should probably work with this. And I think we can start with that agreement and kind of say, okay, here are the projects. Here's our 5 years of maintenance until you can support it. And then it becomes part of the city's, you know, whatever. But I think it's going to take a big meeting and some discussions, and then really probably some legal input to kind of make that happen.
Could I suggest, and I think the timing is good for this right now, because we're done with our budget and we're in our second year of the current maintenance agreement. Could I suggest that maybe we have the dreaded word subcommittee of a couple DDA board members? I would really like a couple of council members, because that's a lot of where this was driven, and maybe DPW staff or something along those lines. What does that sound like?
I think that's exactly right. And I think it should be at least that group should meet 2 or 3 times a year to talk about what the plan is, and then follow up on on the progress of that plan. I think that's the sort of administrative element that's missing, because frankly, we have no role in this. Once the money has changed hands, we don't have a role in this. It's really the city council that has the voice of the people, the power to work with DPW on the administration of it. So we need to get together, use the city council, come up with an agreement, and then execute the agreement every year.
Okay, thank you, Bruce.
And
Go ahead, Ken.
I was just going to say, this is a quintessential problem in the public sector, where through generosity, somebody donates something to an organization or a public entity without regard to how that item is maintained over time. And I'm fully supportive of doing a subcommittee. The challenge will be, or what we have to realize as a DDA, is that's going to impart brakes on our process. So if we want to do something, that we want to upgrade lighting, or we want to upgrade a park or something like that, the process then becomes, is the city willing to absorb the recurring maintenance of that down the line? And we have to have that decision before we would move forward in these things, because otherwise we have to be willing to, in perpetuity, assume the maintenance of that. So it adds a step in the process that we have to be willing to accept if we want to have this discussion.
And that is exactly why the DPW was at the table, why we're setting up the TIF projects and looking at everything completely. You know, the belief that the DDA owns or is responsible for these things is really, truly something I can never wrap my head around, because the DDA doesn't, I mean, it's like you said, it's ultimately the city council who owns. So it really is, or would always, if we're gone tomorrow, it reverts back to the city no matter what, you know, so there is an ownership in there. So we had Ed and Jeff at the meetings kind of reviewing what these projects are, and they had a lot to say about what projects go forward, because we have learned at least that if we're going to do something, we better have them in the loop, because they don't have to maintain it. That was the other point in this argument that we had was, well, fine, if you're telling us it's ours and we're responsible for it, we don't want you to do it. We're going to contract with so-and-so. So, you know, there was that kind of conversation. And so I think that it's important that the DPW be involved. I think that they do want to be a partner. So, you know, we get mixed messages. You're not involved, and, you know, you own it, your responsibility. But yet when you push and say, well, we'll do this, this, and this with it, then you're kind of breaking down that relationship. So yeah, I think that Kyle's point, you know, to have a city council members on this is going to be very important, because they ultimately own it.
Yeah, I think that's right. And I think, Ken, your point is, it's right on target. And I'll say, I don't think this is a bad thing. You know, we've had lots of conversations and the public has weighed in extensively on Riverwalk maintenance. That demonstrates that we spent our money in the right place in the first place, right? That, and making the connection with the city council, what it's supposed to do is say, is help guide the money, the maintenance money, to the places where the public wants it put, right? That's a good thing. So, you know, the fact that we're having this discussion is filtering through and putting the emphasis the public wants on these projects.
Okay, so if it's okay, I'm going to work with Christina on trying to develop this subcommittee. Is that okay with everybody?
Yes.
Okay. I think it's important that all parties are included. So with your permission, I will work on this and come back to the board with a proposed subcommittee and see where we can go from here. Okay, thank you. Good discussion. Moving on to 7B, business development. Mr. Miller.
Wait.
Oh, yeah.
The board has to probably vote on the facade grant.
Oh, I'm sorry.
But
yeah,
if we make this motion, please know that we do not have Historic District Commission approval or the certificate of authenticity, which is required for a facade grant. So the motion would have to be once that's received. And then my second question on that is, we have $30,000 in the budget for this. Do we wait until the facade is completed before that's sent to the party? Is this a completion? Because then it falls into the next budget cycle. So maybe, I don't know if how we would need that motion, Kyle.
I think typically it's a reimbursement. And what budget cycle it falls in, I mean, it's allocated so I don't think it matters. Does that sound right, Thad?
Yeah, I think if it's already allocated, and my memory is that we reimbursed.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Um,
But the line item for next year in facade grants is $10,000. So wouldn't we have to amend the budget, Thad, once it's approved to put this 30 into that line item so we're not over expenditures?
Yeah, it's just going to be reallocation of fund balance is all it is. So yeah, technically you need to do a budget amendment.
Okay, thank you. I just need to
Yeah.
clear that up.
Yeah, no, thank you. Good question. So I think the board may need some clarity before we can vote on this. And Ken, do you have that documentation from the application?
I have that.
I do.
Or Christina, either one.
Who can get to it fastest?
Ken, I just know from my conversation with Mark that they're working with the Historic District Commission, so that's probably why you didn't have that piece. And I just wanted to remind the board before we made that motion. So I know that it's in process. Mark can probably update us on that.
What is the, go ahead, Ken.
I'm still looking.
Okay. Christina, do
Thought
you
it was
have the
right in the
number?
board packet, but it's not.
Do you have the number, Christina, the ask for on the application?
His project was like $65,000. And Ken can correct me if this is wrong, but on the design committee, we were just going to use the $30,000.
Okay.
That was going to be the motion to spend the full facade grant amount for this year budgeted.
Okay.
Yeah, his facade request was for $64,530. That's the total cost of his facade work.
And his request was for half of that?
Yeah. So, but because we have budgeted at 30,000, that would be the amount that the DDA would front, or not front, but pay. You're correct, Kyle.
Reimburse.
The facade grant program pays after we have proof of costs and receipts.
Okay, so the potential motion could be that, well, it's that the design committee is making a recommendation that the DDA board approve the facade grant request from Fricano's for $30,000. That's the recommendation from the design committee.
That is correct.
Okay.
Can we do that now, just pending Historic District Commission approval?
I think so.
I would make that motion.
Great. Is that clear, Kelly? You're muted.
Fairly clear, yes. And I will listen to the recording to get extra clear, but yes.
Okay.
So the DDA today is approving the design committee's recommendation that the DDA approve Fricano's facade grant pending approval of the Historic District Commission.
In the amount of $30,000 even. Is that an accurate motion, Bruce?
Yes.
Okay, so there is a motion on the floor.
I'll support.
Thank you, Thad. Any discussion, questions, additions? Okay.
I just note that that there is an outstanding grant request from the Vogue, and the committee discussed approaching the Vogue after July 1st when the next year's budget becomes available to fund their grant, which was less than $2,500.
Okay. No other discussion. Roll call, please.
James Boudry,
Yes.
Karen Goodman,
Yes.
Bruce Allen,
Yes.
Ken Urban,
Yes.
Tamara DePomio,
Yes.
Ed Taylor,
Yes.
Annie Jacobson,
Yes.
Kyle Mosier.
Yes.
Okay, passed.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. Mark Miller.
Good morning, everyone. And I'll give you a quick report on the Business Development Committee, which met on April 21st. We had two tracks of discussion. One was on the revolving loan fund. So we had a really good discussion around timing. What niche does this program fill? The availability of funds, the application process. And so we had a good, healthy discussion on how to utilize those funds, which are in the next budget for disbursement. Ken Urban and Carrie Kozla volunteered to move forward a program with an application and some guidelines, and we will hear about that or have an update on that at the next meeting, which is next week. The second track of discussion was on the Spark Light event, which we had previously pinned to a September date. After some discussion about the amount of work that's needed, we suggested as a committee that that be moved to 2022 to allow for enough time to develop that program. Madeline Fitzsimmons is in the lead on that, but there's a good deal of committee support with others, and I believe that Madeline is going to be hosting what you would call, Kyle, a subcommittee meeting soon, and so they'll continue to work on and work towards that event, which will be really focused on marketing, I think, is the direction that they're heading. So the next meeting will be next week, May 19th, and we'll have updates and continue to move forward. Any thoughts, questions, or concerns?
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that it, Mark?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Director's report. Stacy.
Hey, good morning. I just have a couple of quick updates, then I'll transition it over to Christina. As you can see, she's kind of becoming the point of the DDA as we slowly make that transition, just to give the board a heads up. I think it was the last board meeting, we talked about a letter of intent for West Shore Community College, and just wanted to let everyone know that I've been in communication with their CFO regarding the Riverwalk Plaza. So they're looking at potentially putting that on a special meeting to bring it to approval to the Board of Trustees. But they're also requesting, and this might be a question more for you, Thad, is about a letter from the city acknowledging that they are hopefully going to approve that bond money. So I don't know if that's something that I just want to give the board a heads up on that, as they're potentially requesting that. So I don't know if that's normal practice or.
Well, no, it's not, because we can't, we can't speak for the council. They're not even aware of it yet. So, once we work through the process, then maybe we'll be positioned for it, but we're not ready now.
Okay. I will follow back up with her and also President Ward on that, and answer any further questions they have on that. And then with that, obviously, there's been a lot of work on social districts and the platforms, which I think is later in the agenda. So I will actually turn it over to Christina right now for the rest of the report.
Thanks, Stacy.
Good morning. Just a couple quick updates. Merchant meetings have moved back to once a month, and they will follow the following week after the DDA meeting, so that we can do updates or give them any updates that have happened at this meeting. So the next one is May 18th. Benches and planters have all been delivered from those that have ordered. So we're looking good there downtown. And then again, as I mentioned, the budget amendment paperwork will be completed and over to Thad's office, Thad and Kelly, today. So we can move forward on that.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for Christina or Stacy? Wonderful, thank you. Moving on to item B, economic development. Back to you, Mark.
Thank you, Kyle. I think if you read the newspaper this morning, you probably stole most of my report. We gave a city council update last week, and we had some news there and some discussion. But let's just run through a few things. Fracano's continues to move forward. We're working with Ted almost on a weekly basis. The Gateway project is moving forward as well. So you could have seen the response to that. So they're applying for Eagle money for grants and loans. The city's been very involved with that, and working with Little River Holdings. That will be very important to prepare the site with remediation and with demolition of existing buildings to prepare the site for development. On the Lakeshore Hotel, I know that it's not directly in the district, but it will have an impact on businesses downtown. We did put out in that, and I've used these numbers quite a bit, so you probably have already heard them from me at some point, but 17.2 million is what the annual visitor spend is expected from the visitation to that new hotel project. And it occurred to me after reading Ariel Green's column this morning that one project will increase the amount of visitor spending for tourism in Manistee County, will double the amount of spending that was occurred in increases in the last 4 reportable years from 15 to 19. So it's a very important project. Will have a big impact, and will double that increase. So I thought that was very interesting after reading it this morning. 2 other pieces for you to keep you in the loop. The Northern Hotel, I reported out that we had a developer that I was working with on that. After crunching the numbers in the pro forma and looking at available incentives, the developer pulled out on April 30th and terminated the purchase agreement, and is back on the market and available. So lessons learned on that essentially are that for our historic old buildings, we have a lot of work that's needed to bring them up to date, bring them up to code. And it's very difficult for even well-resourced developers to make that work without some incentives or some investments. So just wanted to point that out. Second piece of news that will probably be breaking today is that the Music Vault property is no longer on the market. The owners pulled it out of listing, and is now a project that they're going to return to and try to do some work. So we'll find out what that is and go from there. But I have reached out to Kit Holmes, and we'll see what that might bring. So we're hoping to find some information. That's what I have for the report. Any questions?
Okay, thank you very much, Mark. A lot going on. Appreciate it. Moving on to old business, social districts. Back to you, Stacy.
Okay, so I wanted to let everyone know that we do have a packet that will be submitted to the city for a social district for the DDA. We'd be happy to share that with everybody at the board level. It took a lot of work, so Christina brought a lot of information back from the conference she went to, and then Carmen, who's our other staff, put a lot of time and effort into getting that paperwork ready and application for the city council. So I think Thad, that's going to be on the 18th. If we have it submitted, Kelly, I think Carmen's hopefully getting that to you today or already has. So we're excited about that. We've also are going to incorporate some of the Project Rising Tide branding with the district as well. We have the map, the signage, everything. So I just want to commend my team because they've done a lot of work on this and to get it going. So we hope that city council will support this. I know there's a lot of support by the business community to get this moving forward to be competitive with other cities. So that's what I have on that.
Thank you. Any questions for Stacy on social districts? A lot of work done there. Thank you. Outdoor dining platforms, Christina.
Thank you. We have official quotes. I received those yesterday afternoon. As we've been talking back and forth with the merchants, didn't know where the relief funds would go. So it looks like the merchants will have to pay for these platforms themselves. We have a couple that are interested in doing that. Our biggest snag on this whole process has been inventory. The planters that we thought we would be able to get at reasonable costs or have not been available and will not be back in stock until June 7th. And hopefully at that time we can get them. We've, Kyle actually has done a lot of work locally and we've looked into other options. We just can't find a perfect solution. We've talked to Fablite, we've talked to Boss Manufacturing. So we were trying to recruit some local manufacturers. Thank you, Kyle, for all of that work. We even looked at trying to do landscaping type pavers. Commissioner Dance was helping us with that. And the inventory is just not there. So we may just have to wait until these are in stock. But we did speak with Chief Glass and he does feel that these planters with some additional chaining just for visual barriers could work. He would be comfortable with that. But we really can't put the street platforms out, which are available with the current barriers, because then we would bump into the street about 8 foot and he's not comfortable with that. They have to be at 6 foot. So that is where we are at. I will continue to work with the merchants and get them those quotes. It would be best for them if we shipped everybody that would like to do it all at one time, because then we'd have one shipping cost out of Colorado versus having everybody pay shipping individually. So work continues.
Any questions for Christina on the outdoor dining platforms? Okay. DDA development plan, bond priorities, board discussion. What are we doing with this?
I didn't know if there was any further discussion from the work session that we had, Kyle.
Yeah.
We have plenty of priorities. And we were looking into some of those, but the work hasn't been completed yet. So
okay.
Up to you if you'd like to table it.
Anybody want to bring anything up here? I think I'd be willing to table it at this time. Go ahead, Ken.
Is this bond something that would go up to the electorate for a vote? Do I understand that correctly, or is that just something? Okay, I was unclear on that. Because if it went out to a vote, my concern was the way that the maps passed with just, fewer than 100 votes. But since it doesn't have to go up to a vote, that mitigates that concern that I had. So
yep. Yeah, it's not like a millage increase.
I would just suggest we table it till we have a little bit, a little bit more clarity on it. So I would just suggest we table it till the next scheduled meeting in June.
Okay, thank you, Thad. I agree. Any opposition there? Okay, then I will move us on to new business. Any new business? Any great ideas? Okay, seeing shaking heads. Public comment. No public comment. Any comments, questions from board members? Wake up. Okay, so I guess everybody's waiting for item 13. I would entertain a motion to adjourn at this point.
So moved.
Thank you, Thad.
I'll second.
Thanks, Karen. All right. Have a great rest of the week. Thank you all for your time, and we'll see you soon.